Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Tool to Play presents Still Got Game with Derek D. Smooth Nolan and Joel Duda Rock Albert.
If you'd like to sponsor Still Got Game, give us a call at 773-527-2961 or email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. Hey now, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Still Got Game, episode 367. Still Got Game is the official podcast of tooltoplay.com. I am, as always, Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
And I am Joel Duda Rock Albert.
And joining us later from the news desk will be Tiffany Electrify Nolan. And joining us in the after show and maybe some random points throughout the show will be super producer I6 Hitman. So we are back. We had one missed week, but we are still rocking shows. So definitely not a multi-week absence. I feel like we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say so. As long as we do one show every 6 months, I feel like we're hitting our mark.
I know your bar is set much lower.
My bar is really low. Once a year is all we really need. But if we can get a couple more shows in, I think we're good.
Nice. Well, we will try to get this show rolling and on track. So remember, if you want to leave us a voicemail, it will cut you off after a minute. And in our feedback from last week's show, Slicky comments. Ermagerd, a show. Thanks. I missed your voices. Who says Ermagerd?
That chick does.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I assumed it was a guy. I guess that makes more sense. Yeah.
God, I hope. It's weird. It's weird if a dude is saying I missed your voices. That makes me uncomfortable.
Okay. And
so in my mind, it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That whole comment just got way cooler all of a sudden.
Yeah. I'm changing the sex for my own sanities.
No, I'm cool with that. I absolutely agree. That's definitely Slicky is a female. So thank you for your kind words, Slicky, and we're glad that you have our voices back. All right. Crazy Potato comments. I didn't understand a whole lot about PUBG until your discussion last week. I now feel like I'm washed in knowledge and definitely going to get it when it comes out for the Xbox. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Wow. Yeah.
We had some extensive PUBG talk.
It's a great game. I still don't know how it's going to play on the Xbox.
Yep.
I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions there. It already runs like a potato on most like super high-end PCs. So the fact that it's going to a system that barely runs TI-81 programs at this point in time is a little disconcerting. But look, if they can keep it up and they have the manpower, I think it'll be a fun game even on the Xbox. We'll see though.
I absolutely agree. And obviously if they can make changes to it to make it more console friendly. So, but only time will tell. All right, and last but not least, T40 Deeker comments. You guys talk about the Xbox One X like it's the fucking second coming of Christ. How can you even know that it will be better than the PS4 Pro? Total fucking fanboys.
It's a weird comment. I'm wondering where I came off jacking off the Xbox One X. First of all, I will apologize if I did. It's not my intent. I don't care that much about Xbox at all. I'm more of a PC person anyway. But the only other the only part of the comment that I have some contention with is asking why I know it's better than the PS4 Pro.
Well, we actually know that.
I know
right?
because I know. Right.
The stats are there.
The stats
yes.
don't lie, right? You have one version of a system that is effectively upscaling to 4K. It's not true 4K. Yep. So right there, and not even counting anything else, let's pretend they're totally different systems and there's no other features whatsoever between the two. One simply upscales and the other doesn't. So right then and there, for the money, if you're comparing both, the Xbox One, it's not objectively better. It's better. So that has nothing to do with fanboyism. That's me reading 2 sheets of paper and saying this one has better things on it than this
has
one.
More teraflops and gigaflops. And yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So on top of the 4K upscaling, you have the fact that it has more teraflops, right? It has more RAM. It's faster.
CPU, yep.
It's just So whether or not that means anything to you, that's an opinion. That's where you can say, I don't care about those things. My PS4 Pro is fantastic. I would argue that within the last couple months, it's been odd to see how many people have had problems with their PS4 Pro.
Especially even enhanced titles.
Yeah, even for games where they are partnered like Destiny 2, where login failures, can't boot screens, maps don't work, you get kicked out. That doesn't happen on the Xbox One non-Pro or Xbox One X. So, I mean, again, are we fanboys for Xbox? Probably because we play mostly on Xbox when we play console games. However, even though we say this every single week, Derek and I both own PS4s. Yeah. We are not against Sony in any way. I prefer PC between all three of them. So I'm sorry if we came off as fanboys, but in terms of them being better products, Xbox One X is a better product.
It's documented. It is literally documented.
I don't have to, it's weird to argue with something like this that is completely not subjective. I don't know what else to tell you. It sounds like buyer's remorse from your comment more than it sounds like anything else other than you being mad that you accidentally purchased a PS4 Pro. So I'm sorry that you did that. I apologize.
We do appreciate your comment either way.
Sure.
All right. Well, if any of you awesome feedback like Slicky, Crazy Potato, or T40 Deeker, give us a call, 773-527-2961, or email us at podcast@tooledtoplay.com. And on that, why don't we hop on over into what we're playing? Joel Dude I Rock Albert, I can probably guess, but what are you playing this week?
Destiny 2.
Same.
Yeah. It's, some major problems with that game, which I wish we had a whole show to talk about. But I am enjoying it to the point that it feels like playing Destiny 1.5. So it's a nice content release. But there are some striking issues at Endgame that LB and I were actually just having a heated discussion talking about in chat that I find will greatly reduce the longevity of the game. But it's a good game.
Interesting.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Now, the funny thing is, I too am enjoying Destiny 2, but I listen to a bunch of other podcasts, and I listened to some where the people that played hated Destiny 1. And now these guys are all like bought into, like, they're actually
makes total sense.
These more casual guys are loving the second game.
It's the most casual friendly version of Destiny that has ever been made.
Yep. Lots of the stat requirement stuff is taken out. Like, just even think of the little things that were so annoying. You get a new exotic, you used to have to fucking level that shit up.
Level it up anymore.
Now it's boom, just pop it in and use it.
Exotics literally fall from the sky. I mean, you trip over a rock and 5 exotics are at the postmaster when you go back to orbit. I mean, whether or not that's good for the health of the game is, I think, the biggest debate right now that most people are having. I happen to be, unfortunately, in the higher bracket of, I have 3 characters that are all 300 plus, and they've all completed the raid. So I'm maybe not the one to speak to the game in terms of longevity now, but I do think because I'm in the position that I'm in, I can tell you that there is nothing to go for once you hit that mark. And it does not take very long to get to that light level, nor does it take that very long to finish all the content. So there are major problems at the end of Destiny 2 that so far I don't see a future that is going to replace those problems. But it's still a fun game. Yep. And the raid is great. How have you been doing the raid? Or
no, that's our this week's plan. We had some guys that were on vacation, so we held up for them, or in work trips, not vacation. But everybody's like, we're well over the light level, but we waited for the rest of our squad to be nice. So that is as our plan for this week is to crush through that content.
That's great because I think that gives you something to look forward to.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think we went harder on Destiny 2 than we did on Destiny 1 in terms of gameplay the first 2 weeks, which was to our detriment now because there isn't anything else to really do. But that's also the fault of Destiny 2 for not providing any. There's no carrots. There's no raid perks for getting gear. There's nothing you get from getting a pair of boots. You don't shoot for anything in the raid. There isn't anything particularly great to get in the raid. So if beating the raid is your sole purpose and that's what gets you out of bed in the morning, then I think it's a really nice raid. But outside of that, there's not too much left over once you accomplish that.
It's the bulk of your excitement.
That's it. And then Trials is arguably better, but also arguably the worst. That's a whole nother discussion, I think, with Trials. There's a lot good happening there, but for some reason there's no adept gear, and because again there's no carrot on a stick. You have to want to play Trials just to play Trials. That's your sole motivation for playing it.
And Trials is annoying as fuck. Yeah.
And Trials is annoying as fuck. So like people played it in Destiny 1 because they knew if they got through all the annoying fuck shit, then eventually they would reach the tower, and then eventually they would get an adept gun or some awesome gun with an amazing perk that helped you more in trials, or like a piece of gear that gave you faster res or whatever. There was all these things. None of those things exist, so you have to want to play trials because you hate yourself.
And that really is what it boils down to. Is
yeah, you have to hate yourself.
I'd rather punch myself in the dick than play trials. Yes.
But I would think I say the gameplay is arguably better. So it's
agreed. Agreed.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess on that, why don't we hop on over into the new releases? And they'll all be multi-platform releases this week, which seems to be a more and more common occurrence. So the first new release out this week is a multi-platform release, and it's Cuphead. And it's out for the Xbox One and the PC. Studio MDHR finally releases one of the most anticipated indie titles of all time since we first saw this way back in E3 2014. It is a run-and-gun platformer with an action RPG-style overworld that provides for the level selection components of the game. So you do that part, you pick a level, you go do the thing. The entire game, I'm sure everybody's seen it by this point, but it's all animated using hand-painted characters and backgrounds in the style of 1930s cartoons. Gameplay mainly focuses on insane boss battles over it. Like, that's what you're doing. You're punching through guys to get up to a boss battle. You fight a boss battle, rinse and repeat. There's rumor that in the future DLC will come in chunks and they'll give you like 10 or 15 more bosses to fight or whatever. There's no early review scores out for this yet, but everybody that I know that's played it in the press, and including myself that played it, now I think I've played it now at 2 consecutive PAX Easts and in E3, and I loved it in all of them, and I think this is going to sell a shit ton of copies. That's just my personal opinion.
The hype alone will probably carry the profit margins on this game, yeah. I think it looks really cool. I never thought it was like... I never understood the hype at all. That's just me. But I'm not like really super into the side-scrollers anymore. So again, I'm probably not the target audience. But the fact that they hand-painted every single... and they really did. If you look through all of the history of the development, it's an impressive feat and why the game took so long to build. But for me as a buyer, I don't think I would ever buy it. I thought you were kind of... I mean, are you...
Oh, I think we're picking this up.
You're all in.
Yeah, this is too much of a... So much love and work has gone into this that it deserves to sell copies, and it at least deserves one copy to be bought by us. So that's why I'm looking at it. Like, you gotta, like, these guys have done something that no one's ever done before. No one's ever hand drawn a video game that looks and plays like a video game, but it's all fucking hand drawn. It's absolutely insane. Like, I don't know. We'll definitely be picking this up, but
I don't know.
All right. The next new release out this week is also a multi-platform release, and it's FIFA 18. And this is out for the Xbox One, the PS4, the Switch, the PC, the 360, and the PS3. Now, when can we stop saying 360 and PS3? I think
we could stop now.
Can we just decide we're not going to cover
if it's
those
on a
games
360, anymore? I think for the sake of our listeners and the sake of getting people to move off of products that we know are inferior at this point, we don't need to say 360.
Yeah, I'm just going to stop talking about it, even if something comes out for those.
If it's on it, great, fine.
Yep.
But you shouldn't have one now.
Yes, exactly. All right, well, FIFA 18, this is the 25th installment, hard to believe, in EA's popular FIFA series of soccer games. As always, the game has received its annual graphics and roster bumps, which you expect every single year. It features 52 fully licensed stadiums, and those are spread across 12 countries, and also 30 generic stadiums that are in there as well. The campaign mode Journey is back again this time as the Journey Hunter Returns, because you're the player you play in your campaign. His last name's Hunter. It's been getting solid review scores in the mid-8s, and it'll probably sell 1 billion copies because for some reason everybody loves soccer, whether it's Drake or whether it's Taxi. These guys fucking love FIFA. So... those are my two go-tos.
Drake is always the first one.
Drake loves soccer more than anyone. We know
Drake likes football. That's how into soccer he is.
Yes.
I mean, if you're buying FIFA, if you're buying FIFA for any reason, you're buying this FIFA now because you're under the heroin-like addiction where every year you feel obligated to purchase the next version of whatever sports game it is that you play. Period. Like, I feel like men come to your house and they force you to give them your credit card, and then you just get the game. You have no choice in the matter. Once you're in, you're in. So
might as well just pay an annual fee and have it download on EA Access or whatever. Yeah,
I've been thinking that for years. Is at this point, the game's going to come out year over year. It's really not a question of whether it will or won't. I can't think of any situation, especially for at least NBA and probably NFL, where a year has been missed. So why not just make it some package where you get like $10 off, you sign up for 10 years, and you're done.
Or call it EA Sports, and now you can sell subscriptions within that. You're like, okay, I want Madden, I want NHL, I want FIFA, and then boom, each year you pick your subscription length for each one, and it'll renew automatically, download the games automatically, maybe give you a little even earlier than EA Access, maybe gives it to you a whole week early or something. But
I would love that, because then at least I would feel like it's a part of one system, so we wouldn't have to report on it anymore. It would just be like it's a part of that subscription thing.
It just keeps coming. It's
coming. Come. You know it's there. We don't need to talk about it.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to do well no matter what. So. All right, and the last new release out this week is Hob, and this is out for the PS4 and the PC. This is the third game from Runic Games, and the first one not in the Torchlight series. So that's probably where you heard these guys from, Torchlight and Torchlight 2. Great fucking Diablo-type games. This one's a puzzle platformer set on a strange planet with some weird creatures on the surface and this big giant machine core running underneath. The game's absolutely stunning and features some of the most impressive visuals you'll see in a platformer. We checked this game out at PAX East this year, and we were pretty impressed with it. There's no early review scores out at this point, but I think this thing's going to do fairly well. And I already have a review code to check it out that they sent me today, so I'm going to check that out on Steam, and we'll probably also pick it up on the PS4 just so we can play on a console. But
so is it more? Walk me through it because you actually saw it.
It's very
puzzle platformer.
It is a puzzle platformer. So you get to somewhere and you're like, okay, I need to get over there, and you're like, well, there's sort of a bridge over there, but it doesn't line up with where this ramp lines up, and you have to kind of figure out the mechanics behind it. And the puzzles are actually fairly complex. And so much so that the time for the playtime of their play sessions during PAX East were almost an hour for letting people sit down and work through that one little part of a level. And it's impressive. There's a lot of gameplay in there, and it's got that kind of that third person but isometric view type of thing, and it's got some good tilting and stuff that goes on. So it's really a good looking game, and they've obviously put a lot of time into the puzzles and the gameplay and the story behind this. So I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, it definitely looks pretty. I'm looking at some screenshots and videos now. I actually this is one of the only sort of old school game types that I still play. A lot of times on the show I talk about how I don't play those JRPGs anymore, anything single player anymore. Platformers is one of the only ones that if it's good enough, I tend to play, especially if there's a puzzle component, because it's enough to keep me interested to want to get something done. Yeah. So it actually looks kind of interesting to me. So I might actually buy this on the PS4, the system that I hate.
I know, that's what I did.
Because I like platformers on
a console.
Consoles work really, yeah.
That's the way I'm looking at it. Because I literally have it right here on this PC and Steam, but this is the kind of game I'd rather sit on a couch.
It's a couch game. Yeah. All platformers are couch games. You grow up doing that on your, Nintendo, and so it's an easy transition to stay on the couch. There's no reason to really play it on a PC. And now you could always, throw the Xbox controller on the PC and play it. Yeah. But that means you have to play it at your desk. And if I'm gonna play a platformer, I just want to be sitting.
You want to lounge back on the couch and
big screen TV. Yep. I don't need to be zoned in. I can just whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I look at it too.
Yeah. So I might actually dust off this PS4 that I totally hate and don't buy games for because it's a piece of shit. Yeah. Sarcasm. I might do it.
Nice. Definitely recommend it. It was a blast, and Tiff will tell you in the after show. She had a blast with it too. So, All right. Well, speaking of Tiff, it's time for some gaming news. So, Tiff, what is going on?
Ooh, not much. I thought we'd never get to me. You guys are talking up a storm today. I'll tell you.
I know. There's a lot of games to cover, okay?
I know.
We did kind of ramble in the Destiny section.
Yes, as long as we shit on Trials more in the after show, I'll be okay.
Nobody likes Trials. Yes. So you ready to do some news?
Let's do it.
All right, first story!
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds smashes Steam's peak user record. And this comes from Joystick X Engadget. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has broken another Steam record, and this time it might stick. The Battle Royale shooter just surpassed Valve's Dota 2 to claim the all-time record for concurrent players. 1.34 million gamers fighting for survival at the same time, surpassing the previous record of 1.2 million set by Dota 2. That's not bad for a game that was only released in early access form in March, although it still pales in comparison to the concurrent player counts League of Legends enjoys, according to its developer. So I feel like we just talked about this game like our last show, so this is crazy. They're breaking more records.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane.
It's weird. Again, it kind of goes back to that. I think we talked about it last week with Dota. Like, so Dota's been around for a long time, and it's slowly built this user base up. I mean, not that Dota hasn't been popular. It has always, it's always been popular. Always, yeah. But the fact that this thing launched in March, it's really not even a year old, and it's just destroying records. I'm at the point now with PUBG where I wonder if there is going to be a crash at some point, just because it seems like whenever you see this trajectory like this fast, you have to wonder if the player base is going to kill themselves on this game and then ultimately reject it, because it's kind of growing too fast, I think. Sort of like Overwatch did. And again, Overwatch is still popular, but it's not nearly at the height that it was 6 months ago.
Not to the point where you would decide to make an entire league for one game.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And we had that discussion 2 weeks ago as well. I mean, it just seems odd. And again, they're going through those motions too. They've had a practice league tournament 2 months ago or a month ago. And they're doing all these things now. And I just wonder, you're finally seeing AAA companies. Epic Games just released for Fortnite a complete copy. Yes. Straight up
down to the parachuting and the sitting in the plane, and
and referenced PUBG in its promotional materials, which is probably almost illegal in some ways. I don't know. Actually, no, you can do that. That's right. Yeah. It's icky. So now I'm wondering how much longer PUBG can sort of stay at the place that it is until a game company actually does put the time into building a game like this and launching it, because there's no proprietary thing about the game that someone can't steal, right? It's a concept. So
it was the King of the Hill shit before that.
Yeah, they stole it too. They like to. They're complaining now.
Well, it was the same guy.
Yeah.
So PlayerUnknown did the H1. He consulted on the H1Z1 mod, and I don't know. I think it's great for him. I think that this is a sign that when this does come out for the Xbox One, I think this is easily a multi-million copy seller.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, people will buy it on being interested in alone. Like, they're just gonna. The fact that it's grown so big, and most people that I talk to, because there's some sort of PC connection with me and Hit. Everyone knows about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So most console gamers know about it. Whenever there's a streamer streaming it, if you ever read anyone's chat, you'll see, hey, can I get this on Xbox? Can I get this on Xbox? Can I get this on PlayStation? Everyone asks. So because it's so popular, it's in the zeitgeist of everyone, regardless of what platform they're on. So just from interest alone, I think you're gonna see a multi-million game seller, regardless of if it's good or not.
And it actually has to sell a lot, because Microsoft is obviously paying a lot of money for this exclusive.
Yeah, they're all in.
I'm actually surprised that I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't at some point, assuming the game does well, I wouldn't be surprised if they pick them up, just like they did with Mojang. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they'll have to spend a lot of money, because obviously that team, Bluehole, doesn't just make PUBG. They're actually really well known in the MMO space. Mm-hmm. Within the Asian markets. So, they would have to spend a lot of money, whether that's just licensing the IP and just grabbing that portion of the company, or taking a more leadership role over the entirety of Bluehole. It would probably be a good idea. And I don't even say that for the sake of Microsoft. I actually think it's for the sake of Bluehole. They're not I shouldn't say this. For an early access game, it's great, but there are a ton of problems.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Microsoft taking that in and getting the developer experience there, especially on cross-platform play, would be a huge boon for them. They don't have those resources. There's 100+ developers that work at Bluehole. Yeah. So having that network would probably be better for them in the long run. So I don't see that.
Not to mention, to keep it exclusive, Microsoft's going to have to keep shelling out every year.
Yeah, cash.
Maybe if you look at it in the long haul, maybe you're like, hey, we're better off just paying this giant chunk now because we're going to try to keep this off PlayStation for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. We'll have to see what happens. And I'm super interested in. There's two things. One is I don't think it can get on the Xbox when they say it can, and it hits probably in agreement with me too. We talked about this. The game is so far behind its current release schedule for PC. I do not believe for a minute that they're going to hit their mark, which I believe is like December or January. And the problem with that is by that time, I think you are going to see some popularity slowly dive down. So they've got to hit that mark, but then they've got to make sure that the game isn't buggy like it is on the PC, because console gamers are just bitches when it comes to bugs, man. They don't. PC gamers are fine with it. We build our own systems. Things break. We change hardware. We tweak software to get our FPS to the absolute maximum. Console gamer wants to put a disc in or download it and be done. So we'll see if they can get it to a place that makes sense for the rest of the console community. But it's going to be it's a tall order. It's a tall order.
It is. All right, next story.
So speaking of downloading games and putting discs in, Xbox One games soon may not require full downloads to play, saving disk space, and this comes from GameSpot. Microsoft is designing a new system for mastering games that will mean faster downloads and less hard drive space used for its Xbox One and Xbox One X games. According to Digital Foundry, the internal name for the system is Intelligent Delivery, and it will split game content into tagged chunks. Players will be able to download only the chunks they need or want to play the game, rather than downloading the complete game with all the content. For example, Xbox One users won't have to download 4K assets meant specifically for the Xbox One X when they buy their game, saving loads of wasted space on your Xbox One hard drive. Another example, reportedly given by Microsoft, is games with multi-language support. Players won't have to download audio assets in languages they don't want, saving even more space. Digital Foundry reports this represents a significant amount of data, particularly in sports games. Dividing content into chunks and tagging it will apply to gameplay-specific content too. Players can delete game modes they're not using, for example. Finally, Microsoft is recommending the Intelligent Delivery System only be used for new games, but the technology can technically be applied to existing games. It's not clear how widely publishers will adopt it, however, as there's no indication using this system will be mandatory. So that's a lot to talk through here. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's pretty fucking cool.
It's not. It's weird because it's like, so.
It's very PC-ish.
Yeah. This technology is really old.
Yes. But it's
yeah. World of Warcraft has had it since, God, what was the new BattleNet? I think it was 10 years, 6 or 7 years ago.
This has literally been around forever on PC application. Like, even when you installed Microsoft Office, you're like, well, I don't want Excel and I don't want this. I only want Outlook and I want Word. Or like, it's become commonplace in the PC world, but not in the console world. And I guess it makes sense now that we're going with all these 4K games. It really doesn't make sense for someone.
Why would you want those assets?
Yeah. It's a huge amount of extra space. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like exciting in the sense of if you're a Samsung guy and you had wireless charging and you just found out the iPhone got wireless charging, you're just as excited as if you're that Samsung guy. You don't give a shit because you had it for fucking 3 years. But, it's cool for console gamers. Saving space is a big issue on your Xbox if you don't go out and buy, the 2 terabyte drive, which, again, is pretty easy to do. But at least you don't have to download that much shit. Games are ready faster. It's easier to play. The thing that I think is so crazy, so the way WoW works or even Overwatch is you can actually physically play the game, and then depending on what section of the game you're playing, it downloads only that section. So you can play the game almost instantaneously when you download it. And I'm hoping this feature is closer to that, because I find the thing I hate is when I have to move it and I don't have my hard drive with me and I need to get Destiny 2 in the living room or on another box. I have to physically download 40 gigs of data to play the game. Whereas on Overwatch, I literally have to download 2 gigs of data. And then what it does is it's sort of the assets are rendered lower or some sections of the menu don't render, which is fine. The game is physically playable. And then as I play, it downloads. I hope we reach that level of play.
That's another feature that's coming in the Xbox Fall update, is this thing where if you have a game on one system in your home network, you can, instead of downloading it to all the consoles, you can download it across your home network at gigabit speeds or whatever you have in your house. Yeah. So that makes it a little easier too. So you combine these two things, and now that's a pretty speedy ecosystem. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the closer you get to that, the better. It's great technology. I'm glad that we're now on parity level with PC from 10 years ago. But that's the way consoles work. You'll be excited if you've never seen this before, but it's been around for a while.
Yep. But then again, PC guys don't seem to fill their hard drives as quick as fucking console people. Like consoles fill up. Like I could never have gotten through without
You're right. It matters a lot more with console. Yeah, absolutely correct. Yep. Yeah. So time to play for me is the real motivating factor. Like if I want to buy a game, I don't want to wait the 4 hours to download 70 gigs. So if I can play it in 15 minutes, that's awesome. I'm hoping we get closer to that.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Next story.
Battleborn is winding down months after going free to play, and this comes from Joystick X and Gadget. Battleborn's move to a free to play model doesn't appear to have helped its chances. Gearbox has revealed that it's winding down work on the hero-based team shooter as the studio shifts its focus to a highly anticipated but unnamed project. There isn't any more planned content after the upcoming fall update, creative director Randy Varnell says, including skins and balance patches. The servers will stick around for the foreseeable future, so you can still play. It'll just remain relatively static. The decision is bound to frustrate you if you like Battleborn's take on a familiar game concept, especially since the game is only 15 months old and has been free to play for a mere 3 months. However, it's easy to see why this happened. Simply put, Overwatch happened. Blizzard's own hero-focused title received massive amounts of hype, both critically and marketing-wise, that quickly overshadowed Battleborn, even though Gearbox's game launched a few weeks earlier. Battleborn certainly has a loyal fan base, but it was going to be difficult to justify long-term support for the game between its dwindling small player count, a peak of 12,000 on PC versus 31,000 Overwatch streams on Twitch as of this writing, and limited developer resources. Gearbox may have decided that it was wiser to move on than to pour its effort into a game unlikely to enjoy a renaissance. So, what do you guys think about this?
I always thought this game was, its demise was like at the PAX East, where this was the showcase item. It was up against Overwatch, and they both, granted, they're definitely different games, but
they're different games.
But when someone looks at them, they're like, here's a game with a ton of interesting new different characters. And here's another game with a ton of different characters. And because it couldn't get out of the gate fast enough, it's just, obviously it's gone downhill. They eventually went free to play. And then shortly after that, they're just cutting bait and running.
I mean, my whole thing with Battleborn is I think it enjoys the excuse of Overwatch a little too much. The thing about Overwatch is that it is, love it or hate it, it has the tightest gameplay of an FPS currently available to like most people when it comes to playing first-person shooters. So whether or not it's better than Battleborn is probably debatable. But in terms of the type gameplay, Overwatch won because it's a better game. And even though they're separate and totally different, I think if you were going to the marketplace at that time and deciding which one to choose, you would almost always choose a Blizzard game over Battleborn. Like if Battleborn was a great game, after all the hype of Overwatch was gone, I think you'd probably see an insurgence, at least at some level, because they are different games. You'd start to notice that, in fact, they're not, like, Battleborn's not really a first-person shooter. It's more MOBA than it is first-person.
Yeah, it's definitely more
Overwatch
MOBA.
Is more first-person than it is MOBA. Yeah. So if you were truly into that, I think you would see the resurgence, especially when they went free-to-play. But because you didn't, I think at this point you really can no longer blame Overwatch, and you have to start taking some responsibility for the fact that maybe consumers just didn't want this game. Yeah. I'm glad that they're cutting loose because it's clearly not working, and there's no reason to support it. I mean, they have an amazing IP. They don't really need Battleborn to succeed as a company. It's great that they took a risk, but it's time to move on. We know what their bread and butter is. We know what the secret game is. No one is confused.
Oh, actually,
about
you actually don't know what the secret game is. So I cannot confirm or deny whether I'm in an alpha for some other game, and I cannot confirm or deny. but I can definitely say that if I was involved in something, it is definitely not a Borderlands game. It's not a Borderlands game, and it is something very different. If I was,
I'm almost disappointed to hear that, because again, like,
I'm sure they must have a Borderlands team working on a Borderlands somewhere.
Sure. But it's just weird for a company that is so good at a game, and consumers want that game, and they failed already in one attempt to try to move outside that IP. To try it again. It's super respectful. I mean, I think it's great the companies are doing this because it's exceedingly rare. But they didn't do so good with Battleborn. So we'll see. But that's a shock to me if that's true.
Oh, if I could accidentally share my Steam library with you, you could see some things. If I was involved in something, so right, yes, right. Yeah, but I'm not, so I can't say that.
Yeah, and like, so LB from chat's just saying that he has both too, and I think that's the most telling thing is he's basically telling everyone that they are different games. So like,
why would you have both if they weren't different enough to play both?
Yeah, yes. Like you'd have no reason to buy them. So it's sad that people that enjoy this game are probably not going to get updates, and more than likely, I would say in a few months, maybe a year, you're going to actually see the servers get shut off. That's a shame, but when the community speaks and says they don't want it, they don't want it. So sad news, but not unexpected news.
Now, granted, we also don't know if LB was playing with friends or if he was literally like the only one of his friend group that had the game.
I don't know what he was.
I don't know anyone
that had it. Yeah. Like, I'm really surprised LB had it. I had no idea.
Until it showed up in chat, I didn't think I knew anyone with this game. So, yeah. It is what it is. Oh, he says he's playing with buddies, so obviously someone else bought it. Yeah.
Someone else bought it. Oh.
Interesting. All right, then why don't we move on to our last story, Tiff?
So we have this week's What the Fuck story. Kevin Hart inexplicably gets a mobile game called Gold Ambush, and this comes from AppTrigger. Kevin Hart is teaming up with Pinkster Digital to relaunch Gold Ambush with Kevin Hart. It's pretty much a reskin of a game that already launched earlier this year. So your mobile game didn't turn out to be the next Angry Birds. What's a mobile company to do? Go back to the drawing board and try to strike gold once more. Pay for more marketing to get your game's name out there amid the sea of millions of games fighting for attention on the App Store? Maybe. For creators of Gold Ambush All-Stars, one answer is, have Kevin Hart's kid enjoy it. Kevin Hart, in partnership with Stand Up Digital and Pinkster Digital, will help to relaunch the mobile title Gold Ambush All-Stars as Gold Ambush with Kevin Hart. This free-to-start game with microtransactions is available now on the App Store. The game combines city-building strategy elements, maze-running gameplay, and celebrity brand endorsements for the ultimate name brand recognition mobile marketing strategy. You can also lay traps and raid cities for resources. In the promotional video for the game, with Kevin Hart explaining why you should give him your mobile gold. Come on now, don't be cheap, Kevin says as he urges his fans to pay real money for in-game special boosts. Thanks to the power of celebrity, you too can be incentivized to pay for a game that's relaunching a month after its initial release. So I don't. What do you guys think of this? It's just pretty weird.
I've never heard anything like this. Like, so you make a game that sucks on a mobile game, which is most mobile games, and then instead of either making it better or making a different game, you go pay Kevin Hart to be in the game, and you rebrand it and release the exact same game and hope it does better. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, so it's fun. When I read this, I was like, this is like the biggest, like, shill, shitty, fucking, like, crappy move any company can do. But in the same respect, he's currently probably one of the most popular comedians in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have the money to get Kevin Hart to say that your game is good, you're probably going to get more out of that than you are building a better game. I guess is the only way I can look at it.
I guess it's just I can't think of any other example. It'd be like if a Halo game came out and then they were like, oh, the Halo didn't do so well. And they're like, oh, wait, we got a new game coming out. It's called Halo featuring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And you're like, oh, everybody loves The Rock. Let's play that. Like, it's It
Yeah,
just
but this is a
seems-
mobile game. I mean, mobile games live and die by their marketing more so than any console game or AAA title on a PC. So it's like comparing the two is probably not
Yeah,
fair.
I guess, yeah.
Like what was the other one? Arnold Schwarzenegger did so many ads for them. I can't remember what it was.
It was one of those ones that's always the same. There's just the guys run down like a bridge, and you keep putting down the defenses there.
It's like
one of those games.
Some like tower defense or something commander game. All I remember is seeing
Total
millions
War?
of online. Maybe it's Total War.
That's
I
what
don't know.
Hit's saying. Yeah.
Oh, is he? But like that's the thing is like, is that game really good? I don't know, but I know all about it because Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it, and I know all about it simply because Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it. So it didn't get me to buy the game, but it probably got someone to buy the game. Certainly, I don't think anyone would give a shit about the game if Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't in it. So if you've got the money and you could throw Kevin Hart at a video game, you're probably going to get a lot more sales than making a better video game on a mobile platform, especially in that space because there's so much competition in the mobile platform right now that it's like you kind of need something like that, even if your game's shitty. That usually tends to sell more product. So. This is just like a gross sort of shitty thing that's a reality.
It's also weird that they have him in the game, like humiliating you and chilling you to go spend more money on in-game purchases. Like that's also fucked up. Like I guess it takes a lot of balls though, once your game sucks, to be like, all right, we're going to pay a huge chunk of money in the hopes that is now going to make our game profitable and cover not only the game development costs and the profit we originally wanted, but cover all the money we just paid Kevin Hart. So I don't know. It seems insane.
Yeah. Blue Steel called it out in chat. It's mobile missile strike. So he made the point that the commercial was so good that none of us remember the name.
No, exactly.
Which is kind of like this too. I feel like when you have someone of that caliber, all you say is like, oh, wow, Arnold Schwarzenegger's pushing a video game. That's weird. And it's the same thing here. You're like, I still don't remember the name of this. What's it called? Gold Ambush. Like, I know Kevin Hart's doing it. Well, I am not going to remember this name in 15 minutes. Ever.
And it's weird.
I don't know.
Well, actually, technically, Jay, you're wrong. It used to be called Gold Ambush. Now it's called Gold Ambush with Kevin Hart. His name is in the fucking title of the game now. It's insane.
So, yeah, I mean, will it create brand awareness? Will more apps be downloaded? Absolutely. Will it offset the cost of getting something like Kevin Hart to do it? I don't know. I'd imagine it's extremely expensive to do so. So,
but maybe it'll set a new trend. Maybe we'll start seeing all kinds of celebrity customized mobile games.
I don't know. Derek, what do you think about the story?
Jay, this story has me saying, what the fuck? And on that, why don't we hop on over to the mailbag and voicemails, also known as Altius's Corner. Altius asks, with Apple's impressive AR demo at the iPhone event, they definitely showed the viability of AR in gaming. Do you think the platform of choice for developers will be smartphones, or will it be the rise of more expensive PC alternatives?
So I still think the PC space is not viable right now.
Yeah, the only AR in the PC is Smart Glass, and that's
Smart
fucking
Glass,
$5,000. Right?
Yeah. So now if he's saying VR, AR are synonymous, I still think the majority is going to go towards phone because it's simply an easier platform to develop on. And then whenever things are easier for developers and cost is significantly lower, that's where developers are going to go first. So that's why you see a lot of the stuff going AR on a phone, because that's where developers are going to go and that's where software gets made. So right now, if you want to develop for Oculus, and again, I'm using VR and AR synonymously here, even though they're not, the cost is really high and your market is extremely small because it's a tiny niche market. So what's the payout? You have to spend way more money to develop on the system to get way less profits and returns back. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, if everyone owns an iPhone, anyone that's smart owns an iPhone, and therefore it's just an easier. You have an influx of market that is just there. It's built in, so you don't have to worry.
Everybody's got the hardware because every phone has the camera. Like even if you don't have the iPhone 10, you can still do a level of AR on these other phones using the AR kit stuff and. Granted, it's probably better. It's a better thing on the iPhone 10, but like my 7 can do the AR stuff now. I measured a room the other day using one of the AR apps, and it found my floor, and I tapped the corners, and it was pretty damn close to the actual measurement, like way closer than like me walking my phone around doing all the old-fashioned ways that people do. So I don't know. I think, and you're right because everybody's got one. and the tech is in there. It's already got a screen that you can look at. It's got out the other side. It's got the cameras to show you what's behind it. It's literally the perfect setup, and you didn't have to buy any new hardware from the thing you already bought and spend a.
Yeah.
You might as well get more use out of it. And you're right. The install base is much bigger too.
Built in. Yeah. I mean, the thing about AR is just as a technology, I'm not sure if it's proven. It's like, so I don't know if you watched the keynote, but one of them was like they're playing a missile defense game.
Yeah.
Okay, I would never do that. Right, like I would never sit over my kitchen table and
walk
roll
around
and look like a complete asshole, right? Like, so it's hard to build apps for that when you. The other thing that's built in is that you are going to look like an asshole. That's built in. Yeah, that douchebag. It's the same thing that killed Google Glass so quickly. Is that people don't want to look like assholes walking around the city in front of other people. So it's hard to remove the pompous assness out of the equation to create an application that's usable enough so that you can walk down the street and not look like a total douchebag. That's, to me, has always been the hardest barrier of entry, is the douchebag factor. Yeah. So the upshot that the PC world has is that when you have your lame-ass Oculus Rift things on, you're in a closed room with the doors locked. And no one knows what you're doing.
You can't even see yourself doing it. It's
you don't know. No one. There's no frame of reference of you being a douchebag.
Yep.
Like, except for your own knowledge of it. So it's the only problem with the AR space that I have right now. It worked well for Pokemon because you and again, I really wouldn't call that AR. It's very limited.
Almost everybody turned it off because it was wrecking batteries.
It was destroying batteries
nonstop. Yeah.
But it works okay for games like that because the intent of the game is to do that action. I think so many people did it at once that it was harder to be a douchebag. Like if there was less of an influx of players, that's the douchebag level goes higher. So it's like there's some graph that we could probably make.
We got to find the sweet spot, the intersection of douchebaggery and popularity.
Popularity outweighs the douchebaggery, but it's a fine line. So I don't know.
I absolutely agree. But that was a good question, Altius.
As always.
And if any of you have fine questions like Altius, give us a call, 773-527-2961, or email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. You can also comment in this episode's thread in the Tool to Play homepage. And sponsors, remember, we fired our sponsors, so if you want to sponsor us, give us a call, 773-527-2961. Email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. You tell us what you're selling. We'll tell you you're going to pay us. We'll sell it. You pay us. Boom. Done. Twitter us up. You can find everything Tool to Play related at twitter.com/Tool to Play. Everything podcast related at twitter.com/still_got_game. King of the internet, god of everything that's fucking holy, I'm at twitter.com/Derek Nolan.
You can find me at twitter.com/DudeIRock.
Twitter.com/Electrify.
Twitter.com/I6Hitman.
Facebook the fuck out of us. Facebook.com/Tool to Play. Facebook.com/Derek Nolan.
Facebook.com/DudeIRock.
Facebook.com/Tiff Nolan.
Facebook.com/I6Hitman.
We also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tool to Play. That's the place to find all of Tool to Play's archive video content, whether it's episodes of this show, whether it's Hits Quick Hits, whether it's Thick and Thin with LB and Duty featuring Hitman, whether it's Tiff's immature interviews, whether it's just random gameplay footage or unboxings or whatever, it all goes to our YouTube channel. So go there, youtube.com/Tool to Play, and subscribe, and you'll be notified whenever new video content goes up. Also, please rate and review the podcast on iTunes. We need some 5-star reviews, so go there, click the little 5-star button, and boom, you help us out. And you know what? If you got an extra 5 seconds, just write a little something nice about us. I love the show. It makes me laugh each week. Can't wait for it. Blah, 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 blah. Gods, blah, blah, blah. Holy shit, blah, blah. Amazing. Something like that. You can even do the blahs. It doesn't really matter what you put in there as long as you give us the 5 stars. And it would mean an awful lot to us. We also have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Tool to Play. That is where we do all of our live broadcasting, whether it's direct broadcast like this show, whether it is members of the Tool to Play team that get rebroadcast at our Twitch channel. It doesn't matter. Tons of content goes out live on the twitch.tv/Tool to Play Twitch channel. So go there and make sure you subscribe. Oh, you got to follow us at least. So if you follow us, you'll be notified whenever we go live. But if you hit the subscribe button, it costs you $4.99. Not a big deal. And you help the show out. That's the way to directly give back to the show. If you like the show, you want to give something back, and you don't know where we live, you don't want to send us a check or put a $5 in an envelope, just subscribe, $5. But even better than that, if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, then you get something absolutely free called Twitch Prime. And what Twitch Prime is it lets you once a month go to any Twitch channel you want and subscribe to it for that month absolutely free. So it costs you nothing. It gives the people who are you're subscribing to that $5, and you're not out of pocket for anything. Now, the catch is you have to go back each and every month and do it again, but you're going to do that anyway. So go there, subscribe, help us out. Like I always say, follow if you can. No, subscribe if you can, follow if you must. And I guess on that, why don't we wrap this up? I want to remind you all, we're going to join us each and every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/toolsplay. And on that, why don't we wrap this amazing episode up? I am Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
I am Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
I'm Tiffany Electrify Nolan.
I am Roger Hitman Roken.
Bum, 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 bum. Woo!